By the mid-1950s, monster movies had slowly started to become corny and, well, very cheesy. But Japan provided one of the most influential horror movies of all time, and one of the greatest monster movies ever made, in the form of Godzilla from 1954. While the monster ascending from the sea to wreak havoc on its neighboring city was nothing new, the beast from 20,000 Fathoms got there first, Godzilla, or Gojira as it's known in Japan, basically made the kaiju genre what it is still to this day. And I guess I really can't go any further without talking about the Americanized version of this movie. No, not the Roland Emmerich version. This version from the 1950s was released in America, but it was heavily edited, and actor Raymond Burr, who was famously the villain in Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window, as a character named Steve Martin, who is basically there to shout exposition. No, I'm not kidding about that either. He's basically there to explain to us dumb Americans what's going on. No offense to Raymond Burr, he's a great actor, but if you want the pure Godzilla experience, you go for the Japanese version like I did. But enough about that. Everybody knows the story of Godzilla. A gigantic sea creature rises from the sea to destroy Tokyo. It's been there and done that. This movie spawned a series that's still going to this day, both in Japan and in the United States. The US version is set to face King Kong somewhere down the line, thank you COVID. And in many ways, Godzilla is just as relevant now as it ever was back in the 50s. But one must never forget the origins of Godzilla. In fact, the movie was basically designed as a metaphor for the nuclear fallout of Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II. I guess that explains why in one movie Godzilla was essentially a defender of the Earth. I guess Leonardo DiCaprio would have liked him. As far as the filmmaking goes, this was definitely a suit, because special effects really weren't around all that much in the 50s. The suit itself weighed over 200 pounds. And there were two guys working it, one for the body and one for the head. Neither of them could see, and so they essentially had to pull a Stan Hansen and just walk forward and hopefully they'll just run into something. And even looking past the nuclear fallout metaphor, Godzilla itself was basically a caricature of the boss of Toho Productions, the company that made Godzilla at that time. It was essentially a rib. But man, that joke has lasted a long time. But my favorite part of this movie has nothing to do with really the acting or the filmmaking. It's the score. The score in this movie is unbelievably good. Both the lead up to Godzilla's theme and Godzilla's actual theme are just tremendous. When you see the Japanese army mobilizing to stop Godzilla and the music goes dun 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 dun, and then when Godzilla finally rises from the sea and you hear bum 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 bum, it's like the music is basically saying, "You should be afraid. Run the other way." The score was created by a gentleman named, and I'm going to try my best to say this right, Akira Ifukube. That's about as good as it's gonna get, folks. He not only created the score, but he also created Godzilla's iconic roar. He put on a rubber glove and rubbed the glove on the lowest strings of a loosened contrabass. He then played with the tones and settings in the editing room until he got the result he wanted. To put it simply, Godzilla could have been easily just another monster B-movie, but it turned into something more, something that's still being felt to this very day.